So for yesterday, we already knew that Tucker Carlson was in some trouble because Media Matters went through a number of his different appearances on the Bubba the Love Sponge show and found a bunch of misogynistic comments that he had made, oddly defending people with child brides and things like that. Of course, noteworthy that in the past, when he's talked about people in other cultures who take child brides is a gigantic problem. In this particular case, he found it something to be defended. But we actually have worse stuff today because more has been released, and this time it gets into areas of just out and out white supremacy, condescension towards other cultures, and issues like that. Here is some of what they released.
Iraq is a crappy place filled with a bunch of, semi-literate primitive monkeys. But I just have zero sympathy for them or their culture, a culture where people just don't use toilet paper or forks.
And the way they treat women, I agree with you. Their culture is, but you're in their homeland, and you're over there as an American who they hate, and they want nothing more than the Americans off of their soil. So they're not going to play games.
They can just shut the up and obey, is my view.
How could you salvage Iraq at this point?
I don't, it's beyond our control. I mean, if somehow the Iraqis decided to behave like human beings or something. He'd need to say, look, I'm a bigot, okay? I'm a bigot. I don't like Islamic extremists. Like, if you are really heavily into Islam, I'm sorry, I don't care for you that much. And I don't care what that sounds like. You can call me a racist. You can come where the f you want.
And at this juncture, you could say that and not catch a lot of for
it. You certainly could. I'd vote for you if you said that. White men have, they've contributed some, I would say, like creating civilization and stuff. I think they've done a pretty, I don't know, whatever.
Obama would kick your ass playing basketball.
Yeah, of course he would. Play basketball, come on.
He's black, say it. He's a real brother. Hey, do you think
I don't know how black he is. How is he black, for one thing? He has one white parent, one black parent. Well, so that makes him, why isn't he white? There's some really good, immigrants. I just think it's, people who come to this country ought to have something to offer. Be hot, be really smart. You know what I mean?
Okay, so before we start breaking down how horrendous a bunch of those were, we do have to acknowledge that this was from 2006. He was a young man. He was barely 39 when he said those things. So bear that in mind, fresh out of high school, so maybe we should cut him some slack. Except maybe not. Because what you saw there was Tucker Carlson in a context where he felt like he could be himself. This wasn't Tucker Carlson reading off a teleprompter, very careful messaging so that he appeals to white nationalists, but plausible deniability so he doesn't lose all of his sponsors. This was him relaxed and just talking with the boys and revealing what he's really like. And what you saw there was like third or fourth tier racism. Like there's personal bigotry, there's personal discrimination, there's a preference for your own race. All of those absolutely horrendous, and we see those not only day to day in America, but driving a lot of government policy. But the belief of the fundamental superiority of your race, of your civilization, and believing that it is irrelevant what happens to other civilizations because they are semi-literate primitive monkeys. That is beyond, and that's the worst ultimate form of racism. It's the sort of racism that leads to genocide. It's the sort of racism that says, if your culture is wiped off the face of the map, it is irrelevant to me. Why are you bothering me with this nonsense? So this isn't like he made a racist comment. This is an almost apocalyptic form of racism that Tucker Carlson was just casually getting across. While also, I'm gonna end up going over on this segment, I apologize. Tucker Carlson wants you to believe that he's the reasonable one. He's the intellectual. He's read a lot of books. But how intellectual is he? He says that the people in Iraq can't be governed. They can't govern themselves. They're primitive. They don't have a civilization. Okay, so let's ignore the recent context of the fact that we went in and blew their country to hell. Okay, let's ignore that. What is Iraq? What is the country of Iraq? Who are the Iraqis? Is this a civilization going back thousands of years, and after thousands of years they still can't get their stuff together? No. Iraq was invented by the British less than a century ago, taking long-standing rival factions and saying, no, all of you, you've been fighting, you've been dueling over this area, you're all together now, have fun with that. That is what it was, but Tucker Carlson either doesn't know or doesn't care about context. Again, he's the intellectual, but what is his intellectualism worth when it comes to evaluating a culture of a people that look dissimilar from him? It counts for nothing. His great education, he went to a much better school than me, doesn't mean anything when it comes to evaluating people who don't look exactly like him, who aren't heirs to frozen food fortunes like he is. He also said this, by the way. Co-host says, so basically we need a racist president. Quote, we need to get these Mexicans out of here and the Islam. Let's kill all the Muslims. Carlson says, well, I don't think. Co-host says, we need that. Carlson says, I think that you're onto something. I mean, not someone who's like a Klansman or anything. So look there's nuance finally. Not someone who's a Klansman, but yes, someone who wants to kill all the Muslims. He goes on to say, I would vote for that person. A person who says 1.6+ billion people across the globe, I want them all dead. That is what Tucker Carlson said. This isn't just like, he said something that was kind of insensitive. No, this is, again, apocalyptic genocidal racism coming out of Tucker Carlson when he is in a context where he feels like, hey, I'm surrounded by other conservative white males. I can say whatever I want and it doesn't matter. By the way, just a small thing, this just bothered me. So they were talking about FCC efforts to diversify radio programming to make sure that it's racially representative. He said, so how is that different from Jim Crow? In fact, how is that not worse than Jim Crow? I'm not going to go through answering that. We don't have the time, but I will say that if he was the intellectual he portrays himself to be, he would understand a few of the ways that it is not worse than Jim Crow. I will only say this. Tucker Carlson is being asked to apologize for what he said, and of course he's saying that he's not going to apologize. He says that he's under attack. But as I pointed out on Twitter, if you believe that us quoting you is attacking you, dude, you are hitting yourself. This is just what you said coming back. And he's not going to apologize. Why would he apologize? It's not just that his fans like this stuff. It's that he needs to say this stuff. I am not exaggerating when I say that literally the only way that you can make a name for yourself on the right wing, as a commentator, a pundit, even a politician now, is you have to say the worst, most sexist, misogynistic, racist stuff. That is the only way you're going to stand out from the others. Because if you don't do it, someone else will. If you won't go there, Ben Shapiro will. If you won't go there, whoever it is that runs Talking Points is going to do that. Turning Point, whatever it's called. I really don't pay that much attention to it. But that is how they make a name for themselves. Candace Owens defending Hitler wasn't some mistake. It was the next phase of her career. Has she been taken down as a result of defending Hitler? No. She is making every bit as much money, if not more, as she was the day before she said that. And Tucker Carlson is going to financially benefit from having said these insanely racist things. That is how you make a career in right-wing media. And Tucker Carlson understands that perhaps better than anyone else in the country. Thank you very much for watching this clip from The Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.